What's going on, YouTube? That's right, I want to show you guys another badass modified nitro engine. So this nitro engine is an Italian engine. It just happens to be one of the favorite engines that my engine modifier likes to modify, Lance over at RCR. Pretty much the only place I've ever had an engine modified, and I've been extremely impressed and content with his service and craftsmanship. It's beautiful. And every engine is modified different, as we spoke about in the last couple of videos. But this is a 5-port nitro engine. I do have some specs and some information on it. I ran this engine, the last time I ran this engine was about 1 year ago. I ran it in the M2C NT 48.3, which is right there. It's got the old school body on it. You can go back and look at that video. It was about a year ago. Check it out. I don't believe it was tuned to its potential at that point, so you know what we're going to do right here. I am going to give the GRPs another shot in this next run, but give me a few minutes. We'll go over this engine. You'll see some differences in the way this one was modified and the timing and in the sleeve compared to a couple of the other engines that I showed you guys over the past couple of weeks. Every engine is modified differently because some of these are factory tuned from the manufacturer, you know, at the time, especially Team Edition and things like that. So give me a few minutes. We'll get into this, and I appreciate y'all. See you in a few. Alright then, so let's just get right into this beautiful engine. This is an Italian made engine. This is the Werks B5 Pro 2. They're all team line editions. The predecessor to the Pro 2 is going to be the B5 Pro. There was also a Jeremy Quartz edition, team driver Jeremy Quartz. And then when the B5 Pro 2 came out, it also came out with the B6 Pro 2. The B6 Pro 2 was geared more for the racer, has a more linear output through the power band, constant power. But the B5 Pro, this 5-port is really a torque monster, bottom end, but there have been modifications from the factory as well as from RCR that I had custom done on this. So basically the crank does have a Swiss ceramic rear bearing in here. There's also been a lot of port work done to the crankcase itself. It does say that this was done from the factory. Werks did this on these B5 Pro 2s, and you can actually see a lot of modifications and porting and polishing down in here in these areas, as well as other areas in the crank itself. But really solid. It's anodized black crank. They do that for heat dissipation. These I keep saying crank, block, the block, so please forgive me. I think I did that in the last one as well. I kept calling this the crank, but the block, they're just really amazing if you really look at them. The way that the flow, you know, the ports and all that on the inside are done, really meticulous. It looks like there's some work done to the exhaust port too. Right in this area right here. I don't know, y'all probably can't see that, but down in there. And I'm not sure. I think Lance did some port work on this as well. You can actually see in there where it's been polished and ground down. Great looking block though. Not sure about this front bearing. HCH 807-2RS, I think. I don't know. Alright, I did have a problem getting the clinch bolt out, the carb bolt out. I'll show y'all. I actually had to drill it to get it out. I had stripped it again, you know, year and a half ago. I wasn't as you know, well versed in these engines as I am now. And that's for anybody out there. Time, doing things, repetitions is going to make you better at it, as long as you learn from your mistakes as you go. So let's does have a billet back plate here, just a plain billet back plate, but basically just lightens everything up back there. There are rub marks here from the con rod, pretty typical, and you can see the wear on the actual con rod from where it's rubbing on there. So I don't know how to alleviate that, or if you even can alleviate that. So beautiful, nice looking back plate there. Let's see, 2-needle carburetor, improved carb heat resistance, which has this insulator around the throat of the carb. It is a short needle carb there. So again, you want to tune your high speed first, and then your low speed, and then dial in your gap, your carburetor gap. This is probably about a 0.50 or a 0.60 gap, maybe a little smaller. That's going to be your typical starting point, 0.60. On these anyway. I know on some of the Traxxas models, their carburetors can be a little different, up to 1 millimeter. But I started at 0.060 and go back down. And to be honest with you, I really don't measure anything anymore. I just back it all the way down until it stays idling, and then tune around it. So beautiful. This is another HCX style, like on the Reds carburetor. 2-speed. You got your low speed here on the carb slide barrel, and then your high speed needle here. So no third needle. I did mar this up a little bit, drilling out. I couldn't use the Dremel to get the clinch bolt screw out, so I had to drill it out and then use my extraction tool to get it out. It worked very well. Didn't really damage anything, but when I pulled the extraction tool out, it hit the side here of the carburetor. I mean, it's not going to affect anything. It just looks a little ugly, that's all. A little bit here, but I made sure it didn't indent anything. We'll keep an eye on it. I can run a Novarasi carburetor in here as well, but basically I just drilled that out and then used the removal tool. Came right out. If you take your time, man, when you mess something up, generally you can fix it. Just take your time. Don't do anything that's going to ruin the surrounding area, you know, stuff like that. And if you do mess it up, as long as you don't mess up the carb or the actual crankcase, that's why I keep saying crankcase, but the block, as long as you don't mess anything up in the block, then you're good. You can always replace this clinch bolt. Alright, so basically these came with a Werks number 5 plug. Not sure what I'm running here. This looks like a TS3. It's like a Reds TS3 glow plug on here. For whatever reason, I can't get the shims off, so it looks like there's 2 aluminum and 1 copper, but they're on there, man, and I'm not going to force them off. But again, this has been run. It's probably got about a gallon and a quarter on there. Most of my engines have less than 2 gallons, except for a lot of the older ones. Some of my original Rex Legends, even though one of them was rebuilt, only had 1 engine that I blew. It broke the con rod, and it was in one of these Rex Legend 28.8s, or I don't know if they're Rex Legend, but Legend 28.8s. But at that time I was able to get a sleeve and a piston and a rod for it, so we have a fresh rebuild in there, just barely broke in, and then the other one's got less than a gallon on it. So I've got 2 Legend Novarossi 28/8s up there, basically fresh. But anyway, that's I don't know how we got off on that, but I've only damaged one nitro engine in that aspect in the 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. Super low CG head, pretty nice, man. Dropped down, cut out of a nice piece of billet, lightened here, that's nice. Pretty basic black head. You got your Werks B5 Pro 2, RCR modified. He didn't put the modified on the other side for whatever reason. He just put RCR on there. Wonder why. All of them usually say RCR mod. I do know that a long time ago he switched over the way he was doing his tattoos on there, but if I remember correctly, someone will probably tell me that's not true. But anyway, RCR on there. It is an RCR modified right there. Team line 0.21 Pro 2 competition off-road engine, 5-port, RCR modified right there. Works great engine, Italian engine, just like your Novarossis, your Pico. I do want to go over this engine with y'all. A lot of other engines, man, that are Italian made. Apparently Nova engines as well, Italian made. I really like the Nova B5R, but I'm interested to see, I think it's called the T6, which I think is a 0.24 Truggy engine that they're about to release, and I want to make sure I pick one of those up for sure. So you got your O-ring sealed head button on here. Let's get back to that. We got a little caramelization. Everything's been running pretty good on there. You know, I always dial in my engines. I don't really run rich, man, but I also know when it's too lean. But a pretty basic head button here. There's no indicators for exhaust port, but generally I'll just do right here. You got your Werks insignia on there. We'll do that towards the exhaust port, but really nice looking head button. I like the O-rings. This one, the O-ring is kind of weird. If you see right here, it's got this little bit that's pushed over. I don't know if it caught in there from the factory or what, but I may look into replacing this O-ring on here. We'll see. It does come with a couple of Venturis. The others are in the box. I do have a 7.0 here, but if I'm not mistaken, either the LRP or the Nova Venturis will fit in here, so I want to go ahead and run either an 8 or a 9 Venturi in here, but it has a 7 right now. So. Alright, what we got next? So let's take a look at the crank. It's a lightened and ramped crank. Again, some modifications done at the factory. You've got these 3 dots right here. I'm not sure what those are, if that's considered lightening or what, but definitely looks like once Lance got a hold of it, he improved on it a little bit. And this is what I mean when I say that there's differences in engines in the way that the modifiers modify them. If you looked at that Reds, or even what was the one I showed you before that, the Bonito or the Paloma, I think it was, had some real definitive cuts right here, man. And this one is very minor. You can see where Lance went in and he caught the edges right here, you know, here, a little bit on the inside. You can see where it was done from the factory because you still have the coating on it. I don't know what type of coating, if this is DLC or what, but there is a coating on the inside of the window, but there's definitely modifications on both sides, probably from the factory. But this is definitely a different modification. Looks like Lance did a little bit of work here. You can see where the DLC is been milled off here. Looks like here as well, and here in the teardrop from the barrel right there, right on the edge of the barrel as well. Not a whole lot of modifying on this crank though, so I'm interested to see what the power. Generally you've got a power band increase from mid to top where it'll spool up pretty well. Alright, so basically here's the piston and sleeve. So here's my pinch. We still got plenty of pinch there. I don't like forcing them all the way up, but that's pretty good there. No dirt has gotten in this, and I'll tell y'all, man, 9 out of 10 nitro engines are gonna get some dirt in them regardless, man, because you have to be really careful about your filters. Got to be really careful about when you're changing your glow plugs, things like that. Make sure you blow it out, or try not to let anything get down in there. But you will get dirt in your nitro engines, man. It's not a perfect science there, but this all looks pretty good. We're gonna clean it all up and get it all back together, but there's no scratches or anything in there. Again, this probably got a quart and a half. You can see some of the factory fangs there, and then the work that it looks like Lance did on the sleeve itself right there. Yep, definitely some work done from the factory as well as from RCR. Pretty typical sleeve there. It's got your notch, your pin on your crankcase here. Let's take a look at the piston. This is a aluminum alloy, machined high silicone aluminum alloy piston, made out of 7075 T6 aluminum, double bushinged here, and I've checked the resistance. There's no resistance there. I mean, there's no play or anything in it. Everything is still nice and tight, nice and beautiful. And yeah, knife edged right here. You got your oil valley down there, your sump hole. Again, this has been run. Looks good. No scratches, no issues. It is a machined. It's a beautiful piston, not cast. Looks like it's even machined here on the inside of the skirt. I don't know if that's factory or Lance or what. There you go, man. That is the Werks B5 Pro 2. Badass Italian nitro engine. I'm going to clean this up. We're going to get it ready to go. We're going to put it in the buggy. Yes, we're going back out there. But we are going to do some other stuff. So give me a few minutes. I want to show y'all a couple of the truggies real quick. And I'll let y'all get back to what you were doing. See you in a minute. Alright, so I think first up that we're going to be running, probably hitting the ramps maybe this weekend, going to be the Techno. And this part's for Mr. P. Mr. P, you know who you are, man. You're asking about this truggy. This is the same truggy that I've had forever. It's just gone through a few changes. This is the MT 48.3. It's taken on many different shapes, colors, and sizes over the past few years. This was my first pro race kit that I ever built myself. I love this truck. But as you see, sorry about the AC, man, but it's hot outside. This was the original NT 48.3 chassis right here. It got beat up many times out there at the on the ramps, and then I switched over to the M2C chassis right here. This chassis is still good, but when I upgraded everything and I put on the other M2C parts, I just went ahead and redid a new chassis. You can see where I had to Dremel some engine mount screws off of that as well. So M2C, and this is the original chassis for the NT 48.3. This chassis has been replaced once as well. Very well used. This is the original one. So it's almost time to do that one. We may, if I plan on using that buggy as my test vehicle, we may go ahead and do a rebuild on it as well. One thing I did not tell y'all in the last run with the Reds engine, I kept running after the fact and basically destroyed this platform. So y'all saw in the video where I lost the kingpin, so I got all that fixed and replaced, and basically the hub itself got stripped out when it hit the curb, so I replaced the hub. And then I went ahead and replaced the CVD in the front, because remember that one was bent really bad. So we took care of all that, got it back together. But what y'all really didn't see is I hit a curb again and completely bent this C hinge pin carrier, C block, and snapped the D block in half. Also bent the hinge pin itself. So we upgraded the hinge pin with M2C hinge pins, replaced the rear block, and replaced all the hinge pin holders. Some of you know them as pills, with the hardened M2C pills, the hinge pin holders in there. They're a lot better than the black ones. They're a lot sturdier. So she's up, she's ready to go, ready to accept this engine right here, and we will be doing some testing. I've got about 4 more modified nitro engines that we're going to revisit, one that's never been visited, and we're going to continue to test them. We'll probably end up sending some engines out. We may do some testing of some stock engines as well. So this is just what I want to do. I appreciate you guys really hanging in there with me. This weekend, more than likely, we're going to be running the Baja here with the changes that I made to it. But I know, Mr. P, I appreciate you, and I know you wanted to see this. This has the Sendit RC servos in it, everything M2C, shock towers, Lunsford titanium turnbuckles all the way around. All my hardware's been upgraded to stainless. Many other things. I've got the aluminum lightened drive shafts in here. Just a lot of stuff, man. Techno 2-piece engine mount right there. What else? Bunch of stuff, man. Bunch of stuff in here. I'm probably forgetting your chassis braces, obviously, things like that. Oh, I'm running the full M2C hinge pin carrier system on this one. So these are how these are actually supposed to be encapsulated, the white ones that I'm using on there, but they just act like regular holders in that situation. This one, you can see how they're enclosed. That's the M2C 48.3 hinge pin system right there. So there you go. This one's been completely rebuilt, refreshed, got all new arms, hinge pins. Those are M2C hinge pins as well, same as I put on the rear of that one. And then obviously, you know, we got the 8XT here. 8XT is already set up with the Werks. I think it's 20. I don't remember the name of the number of the pipe. I said it the other day in that video, but this is the SH 28.8 right here. We're going to run it with the 41001 header, and this Werks pipe should be a really great setup. Very powerful right here, running on a 14 bell. So she's set up, she's ready to hit the ramps as well. Well, look at that. Look at the buggy with a chuggy body on it. Whew. And this is another great engine we're going to go over right here. This is the Triton RCR modded Evo L5, another Italian beautiful engine. So all right, people, I appreciate y'all, and let me get this thing in here, get a little fish scale this weekend. I am going to post this video up for y'all so you have something to watch here at the beginning of the week. And remember, treat people the way you want to be treated, and see y'all in the next video. Peace.